Welcome in, and Kristen and Touch of Style and Lysandra Doll. Thank you for being here, Miss Roxy. Literally AU, Touch of Style, Sprinkle of Fun. Good morning. Thanks for sharing. Welcome everybody. Hope you're having a good Thursday. Bevy Spain's here. Welcome in. Let me get my treadmill up to speed here. Cookie Forever. I love your cute picture of the macarons. Fairy Tale Finds is here. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. So this is my walk and talk. Read the show notes. I'm literally on the treadmill walking, and I chat with you guys while I walk. If you've joined me before, you kind of know the protocol with that. We just chat about whatever you guys need to talk about. If you have questions, please put them in the chat with a question mark, show it so that it shows up bold and I can catch them easier. And I do try to show things if I can and stuff like that. I have book scheduled on my schedule a show for where I'm in front of the camera on the 23rd. So it looks like this. So make sure you have that show bookmarked. We're going to talk about shipping in a lot more detail and kind of go step by step through how to set up your shipping depending on what you sell. Because it really does depend on what you sell, how you set it up, and how it's going to work for you. So it's kind of, there's no one size fits all with shipping. You have to kind of figure it out. Cookie Forever. As a dish collector and a new buyer, is this an appropriate forum to ask it? Sure. I mean, this is chat for whatever. I mean, I mostly am helping sellers, but if you have a question that I can send you to the right place to get help, I'm happy to try and answer it. Welcome Tea Cozy Fibers and Cat Stitch and Gypsy and Fours Lunds Finds. Acorn Designs, welcome in. So this is technically, a seller chat to help sellers get off on the right foot. New sellers, read the show notes. Make sure you're following each other and sharing your shows so that people can bookmark them. And then again, if you have questions, put them in the chat with a question mark, and I will try and help you or guide you to the right place to get help. If you look at the show notes, there are 4-starred bullets in there. Those are important links, or, well, they aren't really links because they don't let them be clickable. But anyway, those are places you can go to get help. So make sure you screenshot the show notes so that you can have those resources and remember that those are available. So everybody check the show notes. Thanks for joining. Yeah, any questions, just ask them with a question mark in the chat, and I will guide you to where you need to go or to get the answers or answer it for you. So welcome in Monstar Mash. That's cute. And Chiquito Me Chas. Wow. Let's see. Chiquito Me Estache de Pache. Wow. That's a mouthful. Hey, Bonnie Brickle. How are you? Good morning. Hey, Bevy Spain. So everybody welcome. All right, so let's see. I understand the $4 minimum thing, and if a seller is doubling sticker, but I wanted 8 plates that were 99 cents each, but buying 8, how should that work? The $4 minimum thing. Don't know what you mean by that. There's no minimums. Is doubling, but I wanted 8 plates that were 99 cents each, but buying 8, how should that work? So every seller can do whatever they want as far as pricing and bundling goes. So, there's no minimums or anything that are set rates on here. It just depends on how the seller sets it up to sell. So, yeah, we had fun last night. It was a good show. I was so nervous to do that show just because it's nerve-wracking when you have, very highly collectible fabric that you don't really know how it's going to go. So, yeah, it's up to the individual seller. There's no set, like, you have to sell things at this price or start things at a certain price. Every seller can decide how they want to sell things, how they want to bundle things. So, yeah. So, the way Whatnot works for buying, basically, other than a few categories that are gated, meaning you have to have special approval to sell. You have to have special approval to sell high-end handbags. You have to have approval for sports cards. There's a couple other categories you have to be approved in. Sell pallets, stuff like that. But pretty much otherwise, sellers can sell, anything within terms of service, and they can price it however they want to price it. So there's no set rules about how sellers price things. So, if you were, kind of confused about how they had things priced, you just bring it up with that specific seller. Because most sellers are, trying to sell and will usually work with you if you want something to, get a bundle or buy them all or whatever. So I would just work with that seller to, kind of negotiate a deal. So, yeah. So, couple problems if your shipping gives. How do you set envelopes? Is it a separate profile? So, Gypsy, I think what you're asking is if you want to do the envelope shipping, are there things you have to do? And the answer is yes. So, let me pin the envelope shipping guide here for you. So I just pinned that. So that little document that just popped up, just click the picture on your phone. So click this little picture and then tap it again to make it big. And you need to screenshot those instructions of how to set up envelope shipping. And you have to follow them to the T. There's a couple of tricks about it. You have to have that setting turned on in your shipping profile, but you also have to turn it on in any shows that you already have scheduled, because your shipping profile is actually based on the show. And when you set up a show, when you schedule a show, the shipping settings default from whatever you have in your main profile. But once you set up that show, if you want to change anything about the shipping, you have to change it in the actual show, because we have the ability to do different shipping settings depending on what we're selling. So make sure that if you, already scheduled the show, you need to go into the actual shows and also update and turn on that option to do the plain white envelope. And I'll show you really briefly where. So go into your main profile and go into Seller Hub, scroll down to shipping. So I'm in Seller Hub, scroll down to shipping, click the shipping, and it's under domestic shipments. It's the very first setting to turn on the ability to do those plain white. First, it's called USPS, first class mail letter. Make sure that's toggled on in your main shipping settings. And then again, you need to turn that on in each individual show that you want to use it in. Okay. And you have to make sure that your items that you list that you want to send in envelopes are in the category of either stickers or cards, because those are the only categories that you can use that with. Okay, so yeah, follow those instructions, because you have to use exactly what's on that list for it to work. So it has to be in the right category, and you have to use envelope as the weight. It's not, one of the 0 to 1 or whatever. It's envelope. Unless you're in a different country, it's different. All right. Yeah, you're welcome. Someone should do a question and answer show for new buyers, especially people who buy high-end products in big volume. Yeah, I think the best thing is for sellers need to be very, have good show notes and have good details in their shows about what they're selling, how they're selling it, because everybody does different things. So there's no one, there's no like how to buy on whatnot, because everybody does different things. So I don't know that there could be a, question and answer of how to buy on whatnot. I think about the only thing that would be, probably universal is, depending on what you're buying, if you buy multiple items in a show, it might be bundled for shipping. It might not, depending on how they have it set up. So if you're buying larger, bulkier items, usually you're paying separate shipping per item. If you're buying lighter weight items or clothing or things that can be packaged together, it's usually bundled together and you pay one shipping price. So it just depends. But yeah, sellers need to be very transparent and upfront about what they're selling, how they're selling it, how the shipping is going to work. If you're able to bundle items and ship items together or not. So, etc. And yeah, but that's definitely feedback that I can offer, to the team. But from a buyer's perspective, the seller just needs to be very transparent and disclose how they're running the show, how things are going to be sold, how things are going to be bundled, and so on. Welcome in Pamela and Layton and Kim's Bookshelf and Carl Wee and Gypsy. Yeah. Oh, Gypsy, you were saying, okay, yeah. All right. So read the show notes. If you have questions, just ask them in the chat with a question mark so it shows up bold. Welcome in Hand Pay and B Dree 89. This is a chat show for whatnot sellers who are needing help. So, and yes, I agree. Do you put that in notes about shipping? Yes. So when I do shows, right now I'm not selling per se, unless someone wants to buy something out of my Buy It Now. And it shows you right on the screen how much something costs to buy. So like if you go into my store and you click that you want to buy a certain item, it will show you right there what the shipping is going to be. And in the show notes, usually I will put, what max shipping is. So I do reduce shipping because I'm able to bundle, 85 to 99% of everything I sell is able to be sold together and bundled, and people can get a flat rate of shipping. But not every seller can do that, because if they're selling things that need to be shipped carefully, like glass or breakables, then they can't necessarily put them all in the same box safely to ship them, and they usually will disclose to you this will be shipped separately. So Yeah, just make sure you understand how they have their shipping settings set so that you understand how much you're going to pay. And when you bid on something, it shows you right there with that bid how much the shipping is going to charge you. So you'll know if you bought one item already and it's telling you again that you're going to have to pay $9.21. That means they have it set up to ship separately. So you'll be paying, but in another show, if they are able to bundle items, then you'll see that it's incremental up to $9.21, which is the flat rate for 1 to 5 pounds. And then usually you hit free shipping at a pound. And then if they have flat rate turned on, you don't pay any more than that. So it just depends. Yeah. And we're going to go over shipping like step by step on the 23rd. So if you're a new seller and you need help figuring out how to set up your shipping, make sure you have that show bookmarked on the 23rd. And I'm going to have visuals. We'll go over it on the computer and help you figure out how you need to set up your shipping. Because again, there's no one size fits all because it just depends on what you sell and how you're going to sell it. And you might have one show that you are able to do flat rate shipping and offer to have everything shipped for one rate. And there may be shows where you can't do that because everything's fragile, breakable, big, whatever, and you do separate shipping per item. It just depends on what you're selling. Okay. Yeah. And anytime we've got that you need help with those things, just click the auction tab in my shop. Just click the shop and go into the auction tab, and I've got all those lists and little trick sheets and tips in there, and you can screenshot any of those to help you. So I've got the envelope shipping guide pinned. Let me get the shipping 101 pinned. So that's the one that has all the information you need to know about shipping, although it does not address custom shipping profiles in that document. So make sure that if that's something you need to utilize, you go look it up. I'm going to talk about that on the 23rd. So, thank you, Gypsy. That was very kind of you. And thanks for stopping in. Appreciate the tip. So, shipping 101, you've got 3 pages of document that look like this. So just scroll over at those 3. Make sure you screenshot all 3 of those. And it gives you all the links. You can also find this shipping guide in the Seller Academy and have all the clickable links. So this is the official Whatnot shipping guide. And then, thank you for Lunds Finds. That was very kind of you. You too, Gypsy. Have a great day. And then this is, I think, the best piece of this document is that 4th page where it's a visual flow chart that helps you kind of visually see what kind of packaging you're going to choose based on the questions that are on there. So I think people who have had experience reselling on other platforms, it's a little bit less of a learning curve because you already understand the postal service and how they work. And honestly, because Whatnot right now exclusively uses, with the exception of a few beta testing they're doing, exclusively uses the postal service to do all of our shipping, you have to understand how the postal service works. And honestly, it's kind of convoluted. So, but Whatnot has negotiated a special rate that we get for everything over a pound if you use flat rate shipping. And that's $9, currently $9.21. So once someone buys a pound of items in your shop or in your shows, then it can ship for that flat rate of $9.21 in a flat rate box. if what they are buying is not going to fit in flat rate boxes, then 1 to 5 pounds is $9.21. Once they hit 5 pounds, it starts adding additional shipping charges based on weight, and based on ground advantage if you have that as your setting, or based on priority if you have priority as your shipping settings. So it just depends on how you have it set up. So you need to make sure you know how to set it up in the first place. So make sure you screenshot all of those pages of that Shipping 101 guide that I have pinned. Just tap the picture of the packages, tap it again, and then swipe over. There's 3 pages, and then that little decision tree graph that you can use to help you figure out, what best shipping settings are going to work based on what you sell. And my little verbal that I've shared before, my little verbal, in a nutshell, how to do shipping on whatnot. If 85 to 90% of what you sell will usually fit in flat rate boxes, then you should have your shipping settings set for domestic 1 to 5 pounds flat rate, 5 pounds and over flat rate, and buyer pays $9.21 max. That's the easiest way, to do fulfillment if most of what you sell is going to fit in flat rate packaging, even if they buy a ton. So, because you have 5 adjustments a week free. So if you have a customer that ends up buying a ton of stuff and it doesn't end up fitting in a flat rate large box, then you can unbundle that order and either ship it in multiple flat rate boxes or get a larger box and ship it ground advantage by turning the flat rate off on the back end and shipping it in 2 or 1 larger, depending on what works best. Hey, Lily Lane, welcome in. And then if, what you sell is not usually going to fit in flat rate packaging, then you need to have domestic on priority, not flat rate, and over 5 pounds at ground advantage. 1 to 5 pounds at priority and 5 and over at ground advantage. That's the best shipping setting if most of what you sell will not fit in flat rate packaging. And if you have odd sized, fragile things, you need to have custom shipping profiles. Okay? Yeah, for those heavy things like gem and stone, you need to have custom shipping profiles if they have to be sent alone. Okay? So that's the answer to that, Letty Marie. So heavy items, heavy items, as long as it's under 70 pounds, you can still ship in flat rate boxes if it'll fit. Because that's the thing with flat rate boxes. As long as it's under 70 pounds and it fits in the flat rate box, you can send it in a flat rate box. So, and you can always set your settings for flat rate. And then on the back end, if it's not going to fit, you toggle it off. If it's under 5 pounds, it still ships for $9.21 in priority box or your own box with a priority label. If it's over 5 pounds, it needs to ship ground advantage, and hopefully you had ground advantage turned on in your settings. So it just depends on what you sell. So we'll go over that really thoroughly on the 23rd. Visually, I'll have some visual guides and provide the links for you to look things up. So make sure you come to that show. Really you just have to, there's a lot of sellers out there doing seller chats. The community team are doing seller chats based on shipping all month this month. That's our theme. And you need to listen to someone who sells similar items to what you sell to get the specific details of how it works best for those types of items. So I sell mostly fabric and craft items, and 99% of my orders can fit in flat rate packaging. So those of you who sell fabric and craft, you know, that's the settings that I use. 1 to 5 pounds, flat rate, 5 pounds and over, flat rate. Buyer pays max, $9.21. That's what I use in 99.9% of all my shows. Sometimes I put buyer pays max and lower it a little bit and pay a little bit of their shipping so that, you know, there's an incentive to buy more. But in my shows, the most they're ever going to pay in most shows is $9.21. Once they hit that pound of merchandise, it's free shipping from then on out. And you get that reduced shipping banner on your shows if you're able to offer that. It's that little purple banner that says reduced shipping. You want that if you can offer it, because people know they're going to get lower shipping in your shows. So there's an incentive. But, you know, if you can't offer that because of what you sell, then you can't. It's just is what it is. So, all right. Let's see. Any other questions? Just put them in chat. Make sure you're following each other. Make sure you bookmark each other's shows. If you're a new seller, feel free to shout yourself out and tell us when your next show is. And again, there's a lot of sellers doing these seller chats. Try to go into a chat of someone who does similar items, who sells similar items, so that the shipping advice that they're giving you matches up with what you sell, if that makes sense. And also be wary of sellers who are telling you tips to skirt around the system. You should not be sending items in packaging with a label that does not match what it actually weighs or measures. That is, you're going to get yourself in trouble by having packages end up at your buyer's house with postage due, or it's going to get returned to you for postage due, or it's going to get charged back to Whatnot, who then could eventually, you could be in trouble because you are consistently sending packages with the wrong label. So make sure you are following the guidelines and sending the correct label on the correct package. So in other words, if you've got a flat rate box, it needs to have a label that matches the box. So if you've got a large flat rate box, your label needs to say large flat rate box, because the flat rate packaging, you choose the size flat rate you're using and then the label matches. And if you're sending something that says priority but not flat rate or ground advantage, you better not be using flat rate boxes, because the flat rate is a negotiated flat rate that, you know, has that specific label. So make sure you understand the different packages and what you can use and what you can't use. If you're sending in a box that is from the post office that is marked either priority or a priority flat rate, your label needs to match. If you're sending priority, not flat rate, you can also use your own packaging. You just put in the weight and the measurements. And if you had your settings set for priority 1 to 5 pounds, and it can be in either your own box or a priority box from the post office. If you're using ground advantage, you always use your own packaging. Ground advantage rate cannot be sent in any of the marked post office boxes or packages, because that is for your own packaging, your own bubble mailer, your own poly mailer, your own brown box. Okay. Siz Klein designs. I will be going live in probably 2 months. I want to make sure I'm completely prepared with packaging, tablet and printer stock, etc. I would encourage you to try and do it a little bit faster than that. The longer you wait, the your opportunity for growth is diminished, but it is good to be prepared. So I think you can do that sooner than 2 months. I'll be honest with you. You should be able to figure that out a lot faster. Um, just figuring it out. So the packaging, again, you just need to study, figure out how the Postal Service works, how the packaging works. If you've never resold before, you have a little bit of a bigger learning curve just because you have to get that figured out. But yeah, you need to get the Postal Service boxes. You need to set up an account with the Postal Service and go online and order the free supplies that you think you're going to need. And you can also get the flat rate packaging sizes at the post office in the lobby, except for the padded mailer. They don't put those out in the lobby because people abuse them and use them for bubble wrap. So you have to order those online. Okay, so yeah. Oh, you're moving. Yeah, so that's understandable. So if you're moving in the middle of it, I can understand why you would want to wait. All right. So yeah, just go on the website at the Postal Service, set up an account, and you can order all the free supplies, which is all the different sizes of flat rate boxes and packages and all the sizes of priority that are not flat rate. But you'll want to kind of get an idea based on what you sell, which ones are going to work best for you, because you don't want to have, half a room full of boxes that you're never going to use that you end up taking back to the post office. So kind of get an idea which ones you really want that are going to work for you. So again, if you think most of what you sell are smaller items that will be able to be bundled together, then you'll probably want to do flat rate. And there's a small flat rate envelope that's like the size of an old VHS movie tape. That's originally what it was intended for. There's two sizes of medium there's one that's like a rectangular thinner box and one that is a chunkier rectangular box. 12 by 9 by 6 is that one. And then the rectangular one is that loads on the side is 15 by 12 by 4. So that one's kind of like a game box, like if you have the game Clue or something, it would fit that kind of box. So those are the two medium sizes. And then the large priority flat rate box is a 12 by 12 by 6, basically. So those are the boxes. It's like 12 by 12 and a quarter. And then if you think that most of what you sell isn't going to fit in those sizes of boxes, then you want to go with some of the priority ones, because the ones that are priority but not flat rate, there's a lot more sizes available. And you can see all of that on the Postal Service website. And yes, they're free. You just can have them delivered to your house and, just kind of stock up on the ones you think you're going to use the most. All right, I just came in. I sell on Posh, and it doesn't matter what box we use. It's the same cost no matter. Is it the same here? No. So, yeah, Posh makes it pretty easy because they've negotiated a flat rate up to, certain sizes. But here you have to know because the thing that's harder, the thing that throws people on Whatnot is that everything can be bundled. So if someone comes into your live show and you're selling clothing, for example, they can buy 20 items. And as long as you can fit those 20 items into one box, they pay one rate and everything goes in one box. On most other platforms, people typically don't go into your shop and buy 20 items. Now I know they're doing lives on Posh as well, and I haven't watched any to know exactly how that works. But, here people buy, I mean, I sell fabric and crafts. I have people buy, I think the max I've ever had people buy is 50, but I've had someone buy 50 items in one show. And so then you have to know how you're going to work that. And those I've had to unbundle, but I'm able to use one of my adjustments and send it in either 2 large boxes or a turn off flat rate and put it in a ground advantage box that fits all of it. So yeah, you have to kind of know how the shipping works on here. And I know it's a little bit more complicated than some other platforms, but honestly, it makes it the cheapest shipping that people can get for the amount of items they can buy in one haul. So it's pretty amazing for that. So yeah. And so it is a little bit confusing, but once you learn it, it really isn't that complicated. It's not that, you just have to figure it out and get it set up correctly and then go, and they give you those 5 free adjustments. But do recognize that Whatnot is a newer platform. It's compared to most platforms. It started in 2019, and it started with just things like Funko Pops and sports cards and trading cards, and has blown up. And so they've had to kind of revamp things over time. And it's possible that shipping will change completely on here if they are able to figure out a different thing that works better. So is it the same as long as the weight doesn't go over? Well, there's 2 different weight categories. There's 3. Everything under 1 pound just ships ground advantage, period. Ground advantage under a pound. If they buy something or multiple items that weigh 1 to 5 pounds, then depending on if you have it set for flat rate or for priority, it ships priority, but if you have it at flat rate, it ships in a flat rate box. And then 5 pounds and over, if they buy more than 5 pounds, it's either priority or ground advantage, or flat rate if you have flat rate turned on. So if you have flat rate turned on, once they hit 1 pound, then everything they buy after that, they only pay $9.21. Period. If you have flat rate turned off, then 1 pound, they pay $9.21 up to 5 pounds. And then once they hit 5 pounds, it starts charging a little bit more and puts them at the ground advantage rate if you have it set for ground advantage. So that's why I say, you have to know kind of what is going to work for what you sell. Because everybody sells different things on here. So, like on Posh, it's mostly clothing and accessories. Here, you can buy almost anything. So, yeah, it just depends. All right. So, yeah, come to that show on the 23rd, and we'll go over it. I'm on my treadmill in these shows. I can't show you all the visuals. On the 23rd, I'm going to have some visuals. I'm going to go through on the computer with you how to set things up. And you'll have to figure out, based on all those visuals and how on settings, what's going to work best for you based on what you sell. So that's what we'll do. Hey, B. Haynes, how are you? And Ms. Roxy, welcome in. And Keela. And let me know if I missed any questions or comments. Just talking about whatever you guys need to know. I've got the Shipping 101 guide pinned there on the screen. Make sure you click that picture of the packages and blow it up, and then click it again, make it bigger, swipe over. There's 3 pages of information about the shipping, and then there's a little shipping chart at the back, the 4th page, that kind of is a visual to help you figure out what's going to work best for you. What have you found are the most popular items that you sell as a seller? Well, I sell in the category of sewing, quilting, and crafting. I sell mostly fabric. So I sell to quilters and people who sew. And it's kind of a niche category here on Whatnot, but we have a really good amount of sellers and a lot of buyers, and it works really well. So it just depends. And the thing that's really nice about Whatnot is, other than a few categories that you have to get special approval to sell in, the gated ones are like high-end handbags, pallet sales, sports cards. There's a few others you have to get special permission to sell in. Oh, shoes, like the high-end shoes. Other than that, you can sell whatever you want. So maybe you can sell, because I actually cross over out of fabric and out of crafts and sell vintage items sometimes. I've sold in the Barbie category before. So it just depends on what you have and what you want to sell. So you can do that. Are we allowed to promote you as a seller on our shows if we've handmade things using fabrics purchased from you? So yes, if you ask. So what I usually do is, people who buy fabric from me, I ask them to send pictures of things that they've made, and then I will show those pictures on my live shows. And we also have in my Friday shows, if you buy from my home decor fabrics, I offer the opportunity for you to come on and co-host with me and share the things that you make with the fabrics that you buy from me. But you can also share. My only requirement is that you show at least one thing you've made with something you bought from me. Otherwise, you can share whatever you have. So yeah, I do that because it's a win-win, because it encourages people to see what they can make using the fabrics I sell. And it also helps you to be able to sell the merchandise you make, which in turn encourages you to buy more from me. So it's a win-win. So definitely that is something that I do. So on my Friday shows, where we sell the home decor fabrics, which this Friday we're doing Ralph Lauren and Trina Turk fabrics, so designer fabrics. And if you make bags, if you make, really cool pillows, things like that out of those decor fabrics, and then you want to share, I can co-host you on my show. What percentage does Whatnot charge? So their base percent commission is 8%. And then you also pay a transaction fee of 30 cents per transaction. And those are the basic charges. And you may get charged shipping if you go over your adjustments on shipping, or you choose to offer reduced shipping below the $9.21. You also would get charged if you offer any coupons, to your buyers. Then that comes out of your funds if you're offering percentages off or off coupons. Yeah, no, Whatnot is one of the cheapest platforms out there. So it is the best deal. I don't sell anywhere else right now because this is the best deal. And the amazing thing about Whatnot is the sell-through rate. So any other platform, you list your items and you wait. Sometimes things sell fast, sometimes they don't. On Whatnot, it's all about going live, and you can sell. I've had shows where I've sold out. Everything I wanted to sell, I've sold out. I do that quite frequently. And so it's amazing. It's an amazing platform. And so, yeah, I had an Etsy shop. I still sell on Etsy and on the Bay, but I have very limited stuff there because, it's just so much better here because of how fast you can sell things. The key is that you might, but you might not get as high of a price, but it's offset by how quickly you can sell things. That's the beauty of it. So, yeah, there's only a few categories that you have to have permission to sell in. So the permission ones are high-end handbags, sports cards, the shoes. What else? Coins. Is coins a gated category? I can't remember. Anyway, so some high-end stuff. You do have to have pallets now are a gated category. So if you buy pallets full of merchandise, you have to have permission. They have to show, you have to be able to prove that you know what you're doing and that you're not going to scam people. So there's a few gated categories. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, the 30-cent transaction fee. Oh, yes, there is a credit card processing fee. So it comes out to about 10.9 when you do it. And that's why a lot of people will do bundles, because then you pay fewer transaction fees. So if you can offer 5 items in one purchase versus selling those 5 items individually, then you're paying 30 cents less. So you're only paying 1 transaction fee versus 5 transaction fees. Okay. Yeah, it says in your Seller Hub what you've been approved to sell in, yes. But that doesn't mean that you can't sell in other categories. You can just not sell in the gated categories if you're not approved for them. So, yeah, exactly. All right, and then someone says something about a ring light. Were you guys asking about lighting? Oh, what equipment do you need to go live? Can you just use your phone? So technically you can just use your phone to go live, but it's kind of hard to run it just from your phone. It is better to have at least one other device, because otherwise your face is up in the camera running the show. That makes sense, because you've got here's your phone that you're running your show from, and you're having to do things on there to run the auction. So your finger and your face are up in the camera. So yeah, you can use an iPad. But for fulfillment, honestly, you need a laptop or a PC, because you're going to need to be able to edit and print labels. It can technically be done all from mobile, but it's really just like on any other platform. I mean, you're going to have to be able to print the labels and do everything like that. So if you have to edit anything, it gets pretty tricky on mobile to do anything. So you need to have a laptop or a PC connected to some kind of printer. And if you start doing a decent volume, you're definitely going to want to have a thermal printer, a thermal label printer, because that makes it so much easier to just print labels. And thermal is awesome because you're not having to buy ink anymore. You're just buying the labels. And it comes out in the wash. If you're doing, inkjet labels and printing invoices on paper, the ink and the paper are typically going to be more expensive than just getting a thermal printer and buying the labels. So it kind of comes out in the wash. If you already have a printer and you want to go slow and build up to where your volume justifies buying the thermal label and the printer labels, then yeah, just do it that way. But usually you'll want to get a thermal printer eventually. Let's see. For full effectiveness, having a laptop, tablet, thermal printer, and a mobile phone of some kind would be best. Yes. So I would say yes. But again, if it works for you to build up to that, there's no reason you can't do it with, your printer that you already have for a while until you get to the volume that justifies the additional cost and you've made some money and you have the money to invest in getting those other things. So yeah, but you won't regret a thermal printer. Absolutely. Heart Centered is right, because it saves you a ton of time. And, the cost of ink alone, I mean, just to get cartridges for your printers are like hundreds of dollars sometimes, or messing with those re-inking things. It's ridiculous, right? So yeah, and you can get thermal printers for as little as $50 or less. And the thermal labels, you can get 500 in a box for less than $10. And you can get them on subscription on Amazon and get them for a little bit less. So well worth it. Yeah, definitely well worth it. Let's see. I'm not sure what you guys were talking about. The person that gave it to me would know it was there. Let's see. Not sure what that conversation was. Anyway, if there's something I need to comment on, let me know. Yeah, it is clunky without a PC or a laptop for sure. Try not to do bundles if you have fewer than 1,000. Once you hit 1,000, you get paid when you print. Yes. So, it just depends. Because yes, you definitely want to get to that 1,000 sales fast. And what can help you get there is selling items individually. But a tip for that would maybe be, if you're here, let's be honest, if you're here on Whatnot, you already have a lot of crap, right? Just admit it. You already have a lot of crap. So find the stuff you already have that is already a sunk cost and that you can sell for cheap, and just start selling some of that for cheap and get your 1,000 sales. So if you have something that you can afford to let go for $1 or $2, put those in your shows as loss leaders, so to speak, but you're really not losing anything, because who knows how much you spent on it 10 years ago and it's been hanging around in a box in your storage room, right? So find something like that you already have that you can let go for cheap to help you get to your 1,000 sales. So I'll give you an example. So no, never. Heart Centered says, yeah, right. Yeah, just admit it. If you're here, you have a lot of crap. So like the example I will give is I had like way back in the 90s, I like Barbie. Way back in the 90s, I bought, you could buy these little individual packs of Barbie trading cards, right? And I wanted my collection complete. And so I was buying all these stupid little packs of cards for 25 cents at what was then, so it's the store now. I think it's eventually became, now I can't even think of it. Anyway, it was Pick and Save back then. Remember that store? And it became Big Lots, I think, eventually. Anyway, so I was buying these little packs of cards because I love Barbie. And I got my own collection completed. And then I had all these leftover cards that I had duplicates of, right? Hey, Rapper Cells, thank you for the raid. Everybody give Rapper Cells a follow. And what's going on? How was your show? Thanks for being here. So I did a show, one of my very first shows on Whatnot. I had already made an in with the Barbie people, and I sat there and sold all those duplicate Barbie cards, and I sold them out. And it didn't matter to me what I sold them for because I'd been carrying this box around for 20 years of Barbie cards that were left over from the ones I collected, right? Find something like that you already have that you can just liquidate and get rid of to help you hit your 1,000 sales. Now, with that in mind, please don't do dollar starts on stuff that you can't afford to sell for $1. So price your things reasonably, but what you need to make a profit, and then only do dollar sales if you have something like that you can just liquidate. What is the deal with getting to 1,000? Well, that's when you get instant payout. Yeah. So you have to prove yourself on this platform by being able to get to 1,000 sales and show that you can fulfill those sales, ship those sales, and get good reviews before they're going to give you instant payout. Prior to that, you get paid when your orders deliver. So when the tracking shows it's delivered, you get paid. Okay? So that's important. And please, 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 if you're a scammer, please don't do Whatnot. We've had a lot of sellers on here who come on, get their 1,000 sales, and then get instant payout, and then they start scamming people right and left. If that's you, goodbye. We don't want you here, because it gives everybody else who's legitimately trying to, be a good seller and actually fulfill their orders a bad name. So if you're hopping around platforms because you've been kicked off everywhere else, we don't want you here either. You will get caught and you will get booted. So if that's you, we don't want you. Yes, Whatnot does catch scammers pretty fast. It does sometimes take a while because people will do things to be sneaky about it. But yes, they will get rid of you if you're a scammer. Just don't do it. Okay? And also, if you have the kind of personality where you don't want to deal with customers, this is not a good place for you either, because you pretty much do a lot of your own customer service, because someone can message you and say, I got my order, it's not what I ordered, or it's broken, or it's damaged, or you didn't tell me this was wrong with it. If you don't have the spine to deal with those issues, don't sell on this platform. First of all, make sure you sell what you're showing, that you disclose any flaws, that you package things correctly, do it right from the beginning, and then the few times that the post office destroys your package or whatever, you can easily fix those things, provide good customer service. But if you don't want to deal with customers, you shouldn't be in any kind of sales. Exactly. Like Sis Klein said, you shouldn't be here if you don't want to deal with that. Because if you want to be a legitimate reseller, you've got to be able to provide good customer service and help your customers be happy, because otherwise they won't come back and buy from you again. And you need them to come back and buy from you again if you're going to be successful. So just let's be blunt about it. And honestly, this platform is about going live. It is a social platform as well as a selling platform. Hey, I'm living life right. How are you? Good morning. So, if you can't go live, you are not really going to do much on Whatnot. You can list things, you might sell something every once in a while out of your shop, but if you can't do lives, it's really not going to be a great platform for you for selling, because you've got to be able to go live and sell, and you've got to have the kind of personality that keeps people in a room. You've got to interact. You've got to make it fun, enjoyable. You've got to make it so people want to stay. And hey, D Archivist is here. Everybody give D Archivist a follow. She's amazing. She is like the resident techie seller help person as well as selling. And she's often on late at night. So if you're an insomniac, D is your friend. Who rated us? Heart Up Living. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. Everybody give Heart Up Living a follow. Tell us what you sell and when your next show is. Yes, D says engage so you don't have a dead stream. I mean, you know, if you want to be entertained late at night and you come on Whatnot and it's just like, what? You might as well be on the TV watching, you know, the old black and white old movies or something, right? So it's entertainment as much as it is selling. It's socializing as much as it is selling. And so your shows need to be entertaining and fun for people to be in, to make friends, to socialize, to get their kicks, to unwind. You know, I tell people about that time I was in Shop 801. If you don't know her, she's on late at night. And she was interviewing another seller, and they were talking about that aspect of it. And she asked the question, you know, how many of you in this chat consider yourselves lonely? And she said, if you do, put a number 1 or something like that. And she gets a good audience. But I mean, hundreds of people. One. I'm lonely. I'm lonely. I literally got choked up watching that. I'm like, so many people are lonely. And they come on to Whatnot to get socialization, to get friends, to get entertainment. And I was just like, you got to fulfill that need along with selling, right? Isn't that crazy? You know, I guess I'm very blessed. I mean, I literally was like choked up. I'm like, I'm so blessed. You know, I have a husband, I have kids, I have family all around me. I don't consider myself lonely. And, you know, sometimes people have all that too, and they still consider themselves lonely because maybe they have dysfunctional families, you know? So I felt very blessed. But honestly, what can I do to pass some of the blessing that I have in my life on to people who don't have that? By providing a good, wholesome, entertaining, you know, make them feel part of the family, part of the show, part of the group, and they also buy from me. You know, that's awesome. Yeah, we don't know what people have happening in their life, and this is definitely escape. Make a safe place for them to come and feel part of something. So, yeah, keep that in mind. And I'm not saying you have to go out and get a degree in social work, you know, but sometimes, honestly, you do get some of that, and you need to know how to diffuse that as well. So you need to know, you know, kind of how to, you know, because you might get someone dumping their crap in your show in the chat. Thank you for the tip, Susan. What a nice thing to do. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, you have to kind of know how to run a show. All right. So if we want to do a pop-up, how's the best way to announce that and how far in advance? If you're doing a pop-up, it can be 5 minutes before, you know, because really that's what a pop-up is you look and you're like, hey, I have time right now. Looks like a good time. You pop on. If you want to announce it in advance, the advance notice is as much advance notice as you thought of to give when you decide to do a pop-up, you know, because otherwise it's not really technically a pop-up. So, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. And yes, I just want to come and share what's worked for me and try and help other people be successful. I truly, truly, truly believe that if you really want to do whatnot and be successful, if you be genuine, be yourself, and learn kind of how to make it work, you can be successful. Everyone that wants to really do this can be successful. Now, my caveat is that you have to really want to do it and you have to learn kind of the things that are going to be make it so that you can do it successfully. But, you know, if you really want to do it, you can do it. And it's such a good platform that we have people who desperately are trying to still do it even though they're scammers, and they try to work around it and still come back on here. That's how good it is, you know. But don't be one of those people. Hey, Olga, how are you today? Welcome in. So yeah, there's room for everybody. Everybody has a different vibe. Everybody is different. What clicks with you is different than what clicks with someone else. And so, try really hard not to compare yourself to other sellers. I know that's hard. And I'm the queen of always, just ask my husband. I'm the queen of like, she's doing this, she's doing that, he's doing this. I wish I were more like that. I'm the queen of that. I have to remind myself daily not to compare, because you can't. You're you. Can you be the best you? Yes, but you're still you. Yes, observation is good, but comparing and beating yourself up over not being the same as someone else is not good. That's not going to help you out. So, work hard at being the best you and doing what you do well and offering that to your audience. And you're genuine, if you're genuinely doing that, that's going to come across. You're being you and they like you. They want to be there with you, feel amazing about that. And, you'll find your tribe. You'll find the people that want to be there with you, that want to buy from you. I have some customers, you guys, that I get choked up thinking about how much they've supported us. I have a couple of people that come to almost every show that the minute I hit live, they're the first person in the room. They're my besties, and I've never met them. you know, Legit. I'm like, I love you. You show up for all my shows. It's like my best friend who comes over every day to visit. They show up in every show. I love them. I send them gifts in their packages because I love them so much, because they show up for me and, they're just there. And, they're the kind of people that I legit want to take a trip around the country and go meet all these people because they've just become my best friends. So, yeah, it's hard to, like Dee says, be real. If you show up on your shows and you're not genuine and you're not who you really are, that's going to come through. So be yourself. Yep. Let me pin out of my auction tab my top 10 tip list. And this is not like end all be all. but people over and over and over, these are the things that people would ask about. And so I'm like, let's put it in a list. And I probably should have shaped it like the 10 Commandments, because legit, this is like 10 Commandments of what you should be doing every day consistently to be successful and whatnot. And it's not a do it exactly this way list. It's a these are the things you need to be doing the way that you do them, and do them consistently, and it's going to work for you. Okay? So make sure you screenshot that list and really go through it and figure out, am I doing all these things consistently? And if you're not, pick the ones that you need to work on and work on them and start doing those things better. Okay, so top 10 list, schedule shows. Number 1, schedule shows. Oh, thank you, Dee, for your purchase and for gifting to Susan. Congrats, Susan. You're getting some cutie stickers in the mail from Dee. And, and she just gifted to Pal Lauren as well. So that's one of my tips, you guys, what Dee is doing. Number 3 on my list, get some items listed and list some few low cost items that people can gift or buy to support you. So I sell items out of my Buy It Now in almost every show. Sometimes if I don't sell anything out of my Buy It Now, it's because it was a show where people were so engaged in what I was selling in the auction that they didn't have time to go into my Buy It Now. So that's another tip. Make time by doing giveaways and encouraging people to shop your Buy It Now to sell things out of your Buy It Now. Or, run some flash sales out of your Buy It Now. So those are some things on my tip list. Number 3. 4 is stay live for a long enough time to actually get people to find you when you're new. If you only go live for 15 minutes and you're like, nobody's here, this sucks, and you go off, guess what? You're never going to be found because you didn't stay on long enough to be found. You've got to stay on a minimum of 1 hour, and usually you're going to want to stay on at least 3 to be able to get found and get some traction. Okay. And then number 5, get feedback. Number 6, run your items. Don't just show them. 7, always raid. 8, participate in raid trains when you're ready. 9, get help. And by get help, let me put it this way. If you don't have the ability to go out and research and find information, and you come on here and you ask questions that are as basic as, how do I list an item? Then you probably don't belong on Whatnot. You've got to go use all the resources Whatnot has. Seller Academy, frequently asked questions. There's chats like this. There's YouTube videos out the wazoo. Go find the information. Put in your time to learn how to use it. It's just like anything else you do. If you want a driver's license, you've got to study the driver's license test so you can go take it and learn how to drive, right? If you want to learn how to do Whatnot, you've got to put in the time to learn how to do it. I can lead you to the resources, but I can't make you do it. None of us can, literally, I guess you could pay me thousands of dollars, fly me to your house, and I'll teach you how to do it. But really, you've got to look up the information, find the videos, watch the tutorials. Whatnot sends you emails. For Pete's sake, check your emails for all the information they send you to look at. Okay? So if you really want to do this, you can put in the time to make it work. All right, let's see. All right, I got off on a soapbox on that. What? Yes, seller.whatnot.com. Go find all the things that you need to learn how to be a seller on here. If you can't do it, probably not the best way. Yeah, pay me for the one-on-one boobs. I know, right? Add it to the bin. She's giving me a message in that got muted because she added the words that get muted. All right. So yes, there are some amazing people on here, you guys. And I'm doing this for free. All of us that do these seller chat shows, it's just my time. That's why I'm a little bit greedy by doing it while I walk, because it's a win for me to get on the treadmill. Because one day I had this brilliant idea in my mind. I'm like, when I walk on my treadmill, what am I doing? I'm watching Whatnot shows and buying things. So instead, I'm going to go live on my treadmill and talk to people and help people so that I'm not spending money and I'm helping other people instead. So win-win there. And then I also do some where I'm in front of the camera. Yeah, multitask. I'm like just ask anyone. I'm like one of those people that I don't even leave a room until I've made sure there wasn't something I needed to take from that room to go somewhere else in my house, right? So multitasking for sure. All right, so is there anyone that has any specific questions about anything else? Let's see. Sazine Designs. I want to be part of the next Halloween raid train as my first live show. Oh, cool. So yeah, there's probably going to be a bunch of those. So find just the easiest way to find raid trains nowadays, honestly, is just to go to the For You page and type in the word raid train, or the words, 2 words, raid train. Find shows that are raid trains and reach out to the person who organized it. And you'll find who that is either right on the thumbnail. It will tell you who organized it, or you can go into a live show and ask. It'll often be in the show notes who organized it, or the moderator can tell you who organized it. Reach out. Don't be afraid to just reach out to the people who organize the raid trains and ask if you can be part of them. I will tell you that you need to have done at least a few shows successfully before you're going to want to participate in a raid train, so that you know how to run a show, because you don't want to be that seller who's on a raid train, you get raided, and then you don't know how to run the show, and the train gets derailed and they don't invite you back. So make sure you know how to run a show. And a lot of raid trains are only 15 to 30 minutes. So you've got to not only know how to run a show, you've got to know how to run one pretty quickly. Okay. Can you make decent money for your stuff, or are the fees really high? So the fees on Whatnot come out to about 10%, 11% sometimes when you have, all the transaction fees. And so pretty much around 10 to 11% of what you sell. Okay. And yes, you can make really good money on here, but you need to be smart about how you do it. So I would suggest watching a lot of shows and tie your hands down if you're trying not to buy, and see how things work. See how people sell things. One of my homeworks from a past show was to watch 10 unique shows that you've never been in before and write down, have a piece of paper, write down, why did I want to stay in this show, or why did I want to leave? It's a really good experiment to help you know what you want to emulate, what they're doing right, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And it'll help you understand, better how to run shows that are going to be successful versus ones that are not. You'll know that really fast. So yeah, do that. Maybe watch 20 if you need to. but unique ones that you've never been into, because it's if it's someone you've already watched a lot, you're biased and you won't get as much information out of it. So watch 10 or more unique sellers and legit just write down, why did I want to stay in that show? Write it down. Why did I want to leave that show? Write it down. And then you'll have some really good feedback for yourself as what to do and what not to do. Second ST style, new seller here. I have an 80-pound bin haul show later today. Please bookmark. So everybody give second ST style a follow. I'm already following you. And make sure you go bookmark that show for her, please, to give her a little boost. I just bookmarked it. Everyone else do the same. And thanks for telling us. Do they provide tax info for you, or is it all up to the seller? They do provide tax info for you through Stripe. So when because everything is processed through Stripe, and then Stripe produces a 1099 for you for the next year. So that'll be on your account with Stripe. So whatnot, because all the fulfillment is done through them through to your bank account, or PayPal if you've had PayPal and are grandfathered in. Newer sellers aren't allowed to use PayPal anymore, so it'll be through Stripe. All right. I like trying to go to shows with 10 to 50 people. It's easy to get stuck in the big shows. Yeah. And I think that's normal. People are afraid to go into shows where there's only a few people just because you feel like you might be obligated to kind of interact more. And I get that. But do some of those too, just to kind of get some ideas of maybe why, if they're brand new, obviously, they have a few. But get some ideas of different categories, how things are run in different categories. Why does someone only have, a few people? You can also go into your settings. If you want to do this, go into your settings. So go into your account. So in your main profile, go to your account, and then you can go into your let's see, preferences is what it's under. Preferences. So you can click that and then scroll down, and you can do, here we go. Where is it? Now I'm not finding it. Somewhere you can turn on incognito. Oh, private entry is what it's called. So if you have that toggled on, I don't have it toggled on, but if you have that toggled on, it allows you to go into shows without it showing that you came in. And then you can still buy and chat and everything. They just didn't see you come in. So if you want to do that experiment in incognito, go into your account, preferences, and it was under enable private entry. So that's something you can do. All right, I need to get going here. I need to ship our show from last night. So if you have any other burning questions, and then make sure you have that show on the 23rd bookmarked. We're going to go over shipping again, and I'm going to have some nice visuals, and we're going to do everything on the computer to try and help everybody figure out how they should have their shipping settings set. It is, again, shipping is not a one size fits all. It depends on what you sell. So there you go. Let's see. Sunflower says, I have a customer that had 2 boxes that was shipping. She received just 1 box before the second, and she requested a refund automatically without contacting me, and she was granted a refund. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah. So what I would suggest is message Whatnot customer service and request to do your own customer service. And that will prevent that, because instead of Whatnot having to handle it and refunding her automatically, they have to refer it to you. And then you get the opportunity to reach out to the customer before they can automatically refund. You have to approve it. So I would recommend that everyone do their own customer service. It doesn't mean you get phone calls. There's no phone service. It doesn't mean you get all the emails. It just means that when someone has an issue, when they clicked need help with this order, it comes to you first instead of Whatnot customer service. And then you get to handle it instead of them. So request to do your own customer service. They'll put you on the, because sellers who want to do that can do that. And then they won't automatically refund without your approval. I don't remember. They were offering that as a beta, but I'm pretty sure anyone that requests it will get granted. So just reach out to customer service, just message them and say, I want to do my own customer service. Can you put me on the beta to do my own customer service? And I'm pretty sure they'll grant that. And then when anyone clicks, I need help with this order, the request for refund or cancellation or whatever will come to you first. And then you get to deal with the customer directly and resolve it instead of them just refunding. Okay. So when Whatnot refunds the customer without your input, does that take away our money that we earned? Yes. So it'll, deduct from your account. So that's why I'm saying do your own customer service, because you could have easily just said, oh, this was shipped in 2 separate boxes. Here's the tracking. For some reason, that box didn't get there at the same time. It's on its way, and you would have avoided them asking for a refund. So, but it maybe the tracking showed that it was lost. I don't know, but yeah. She said she would pay back if I sent her PayPal request, and I did, but I haven't gotten it. Oh, okay. So, yeah, and that's kind of iffy because you really can't do transactions outside of Whatnot anyway. So, yeah. And the reason that was muted is because PayPal is muted. All right. Let's see. Well, I didn't know that because I do bundles. Sometimes they're not happy with one item, but then they get a refund for the entire bundle. Oh, yeah, that's not cool. So, yeah, do your own customer service, and then you could refund just the one item instead of the whole bundle or whatever. So, yeah. Or offer coupons for the next time or whatever. All right, I need to go. I'm going to go out and see who we can raid into. Everybody bookmark that show on the 23rd where we're going to talk shipping, and let's see who we can go raid into. We're going to go raid into Philly Flipper. He's doing seller support this morning as well, and I'm actually going to be on his show co-hosting for a little bit this evening because he got some fabric and wanted to get some fabric people in there because that's not typically something he sells. So we're going to go right into Philly Flipper. And you guys have a great day. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's a good tip, Olga. I do that too. So if I have unbundled someone's orders into 2, I always put on the invoice box 1 of 2 so that people know there's 2 separate boxes. Yeah, good tip. All right, here we go over to Philly. You guys have a great day.